Hello, my friends, and good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am in an undisclosed location, and I don't know how great this internet is, so I'm going to do the best that I can today. Can you guys let me know that you can hear me? I am traveling, so I have a different mic today. It's not my normal mic. And for those of you who were worried about, okay, I can see myself on my phone. Were worried about me yesterday when you couldn't find me. When Boss Baby took the stand, thank you so much for your concern. I love you so much that you're worried about me. I had notified everyone the day before on Tuesday that I'm taking one of my kids to college. And it's very emotional and it's very it's on the other side of the country. We had to fly. And we're here. And today is dorm move-in day. So for the person who sent me the very nasty email about how dare I not stream the day that Robert Tellis took the stand, there are so many things that I would love to say to you. But I'm classy, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But how dare you question my choices of putting my children first? We thought Robert Tellis was going to testify on Tuesday, and he didn't. And we sat around all day waiting for it. And we had a morning stream. We had an afternoon stream. And I'd read it to you, but I'm still mad about it. I'm going to go, I unsubscribe from you and I subscribe to Brandy Churchwell because she respects her audience and she's on time. I mean, first of all, I'm so happy for, is it weird that I'm happy that Brandy got another sub? But I'm sorry that you have to deal with this person who I've never even heard of, by the way. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Thank you, Stephanie. You know, and when you're a mom that does it all yourself, it's not the easiest thing in the world to juggle. And I have 5. Okay. So I have twins. They're both going to college this year. So there will be maybe a couple of other days when I'm not on the air. And trust me, when I was on the airplane and I saw that Robert Tellis was taking the stand, there was just nothing that I could do about it, except come here today and talk to you about it, because what a train wreck it was. What a train wreck that his attorney, first of all, I don't think that his attorney wanted him to take the stand. I'm sure this was against legal advice. When we covered the pretrial in this, we saw Robert Tellis representing himself for quite some time. And when he took the stand yesterday, he was far less confident than he was when he was even representing himself. And we've watched him throughout this trial sit behind his attorney while his attorney is arguing, or just sitting at the counsel table or defense table, taking furious notes, wishing that he was probably representing himself, because in my eyes, this guy is so egotistical that he just thinks he can do it better than anyone. So what a train wreck that was. What an absolute train wreck. It's going to continue today. Depending on how the move-in goes at the dorm, I will probably cover it on a delay later. So if you'd like to wait for me, that's great. If you don't, that's great too. If you want to unsubscribe because I couldn't be here yesterday during what this guy, David, says, here's what he says, because I need to read this to you because this is just beyond. Melanie, how do you expect people to subscribe to your channel or become a member when you miss court days? Today, Robert Tellis took the stand against his attorney's advice and provided a narrative testimony that was a total train wreck. I have left your channel and subscribed to Brandy Churchwell because she starts on time and doesn't miss trial days. Lots of people complained about you in several different chats today. Good luck. Well, good luck to you, David Saisi, Saisi. Thank you so much for your really kind email that you took the trouble to write. And I'm sorry for whatever happened to you in your life, that you feel that it's necessary to send a nasty email to a woman that you do not know. and air your grievances like this is Festivus or something. I don't know if a little cupcake is here today, but she pointed out to me something that I thought was very funny. Do you guys remember a guy on Saturday Night Live called, hold on, she sent me a picture of it because I didn't remember this. His name was Johnny Letter, and it was played by Mike Myers. It was a character that appeared on SNL for one episode back in 1991. His name was Johnny Letter. It was Mike Myers, and we can't find any clips on it on YouTube because the copyright. SNL won't even let you play anything anyway. But it was a guy named Johnny Letter who uses strong writing skills to exact revenge on others. So let's just call David Saisi Johnny Letter. Thanks, Johnny Letter, for your letter. I will send it up to management, and I don't know, maybe they could fire me or something. How's that? Are you kidding me? Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Nancy, for supporting me. I'm blown away by the stuff, like the expectations of people who get stuff for free and then feel like, I don't know, I owe them. I don't even know, but I'm at the point where I had it. Thank you, Lauren. I did see this earlier, Lauren. And I thanked you, I think, and I don't know, it was in the earlier chat from yesterday, but yeah, different twins, different coasts, and it's a roller coaster. And I mean, I've had two kids who have already gone to college, and I've dropped at college, but it's not like you just it doesn't get easier with each kid. It really doesn't. Right? Right. They used to be so funny. Chibuga, chibuga, chibuga. Right? I mean, for obvious reasons, I can't always say where I'm going or what I'm doing because I got so many threats during the Karen retrial that it wasn't even funny. When I went to court that one day, which is the only one day that I did not stream the Karen retrial, it was because I was in the courthouse at the Karen retrial. And I had to travel with private security because of the threats that I was receiving. So how about, David, you take a step back and go somewhere else, because you're not the kind of person that we want here anyway. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Allie. I know that I gave you guys 3 options of where to watch the coverage. Ali Mata thanked me. She sent me a very nice thank you text. She's like, thank you so much. So hopefully you did okay. And yeah, it's hard. There were a lot of sidebars. I have a lot of ideas about why they did what they did yesterday. So let's take a look. Let me know, because I really I'm in a place, there's mountains, there's internet issues. So let's see if it will even let me give me well, thank you, that recovery addict was saying nice things about me. He's so sweet. Scott is amazing. He's amazing, and he's so hardworking, and he does an amazing job. He's got amazing equipment. No, David. No, David. Thank you, Kiwi Fruit. But I did announce it the day before. I did say I'm going to be traveling. Here's where to go. But, and when people and you guys are nice in your comments, but I can't, just for obvious reasons, I cannot say where I am and what I'm doing. I just can't. I wish I could, but I have learned, unfortunately, I was very open in the beginning when I started my channel about my life and what I do. And it wasn't a smart thing to do, because there's people out there who are horrific. And hopefully you don't know that. And I hope that you never have to find that out, because it's a rude awakening in a lot of ways. You think people are kind and cool, and they're not. So let us take a look at this. There were 2 witnesses that testified before Tellys took the stand. And we're gonna stop. We're going to talk about it, because that's what we do here. His testimony is about an hour and a half. Let's see how much we can get through today, depending on how well this is going to let me navigate the streaming. And let's check it out. Hopefully we don't have volume issues I have it's on my laptop on a split screen, because I usually have a big second screen, and I did bring my good camera with me, so hopefully at least you're getting a visual that's decent. I'm going to keep my comments open on my phone, so mods, if you see any issues, you can text me about it. Thank you, Charlotte Holmes, for becoming a new member. Appreciate you so much. Johnny Letter, that was a funny one. Cupcake, so funny. All right, enough of the trolls. If you give them air, they keep breathing. We don't want that. Okay, so he took the stand yesterday afternoon. Let's see why this is going doing this. Do this, do this. It's so funny because when I was on the airplane, I was able to get Wi-Fi and I was able to jump around to a couple of different streams. I saw you guys and you were all in different places. And some of you were even in law and crime. And I almost said on there, like, hey, Cupcakes, I see you. Hang in there. Because I know that those of you who were brave enough to go over to law and crime were probably like, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it wasn't that bad because there are so many trials that have been so much worse that I think that we're in a place right now where we've seen so much worse of a troll factor on channels. But hopefully you did okay over there. So here's what happened yesterday. Here was this weird 5-minute recess, right? And what's so interesting is that I'm sure there were sidebars, but the cameras weren't on for any of the sidebars. So I do know that I think it was, I don't know, was it today? What day is it? It's Thursday. Today's Thursday, August 22nd. On Tuesday, or maybe even Monday, the judge did give him the soliloquy or the narrative or whatever they call it in Nevada about, you understand that you have the right not to testify. They did all that and they did all that off camera. So that's why we thought that his testimony was going to be earlier than today, which was yesterday, which was Wednesday. But it wasn't, because we saw some other witnesses before that talking about pretty much nothing. We saw the first doctor, who's a psychologist, testify that just because a person attempts suicide does not necessarily mean consciousness of guilt. It may also mean that they are very stressed out about being in a situation that they are not guilty of. But then on cross-examination, the prosecutor was able to have the doctor admit that it also may be because someone is looking for attention. So that was kind of a nothing. Then yesterday, there were some cellular forensics that, quite honestly, I have not been able to deep dive into, but it seemed like that was kind of a nothing also, because what it seemed to point out is that his phone was in his house that day and didn't go anywhere. And he had a text exchange with his daughter in the morning, and then there was some spam text messages that came in, and then nothing until after 2 p.m., I believe. That's when it got back to normal. And it also, again, the cellular expert had to admit that it could be because the phone was in an area near his home. Couldn't even say that it was in his home. There also was testimony from a gentleman who I believe worked at the front desk at Planet Fitness, which and said that he went to Planet Fitness that day at a certain time, which also was after the time of the murder. So a whole lot of kind of hot air. And we knew, or I knew, wanted to tell his story. He had said that extensively pre-trial. And so we've just been waiting and waiting and waiting. And yesterday, we were graced with his presence. And this is like, I haven't seen a Hail Mary like this since Doug Flutie threw that touchdown pass for Boston College in 1984. Okay, if you know, you know. This was a Hail Mary of all Hail Marys, and I think it's a train wreck. I don't think it's working. But listen, I don't think he had he had no other choice. He had to take the stand. He had to tell his story because there really was no other story. So here's the odd part about this. The judge, they went on this.
To reflect that the hearing is taking place outside the presence of the jury panel. Mr. Draskovich.
Your Honor,
Okay. Let me know that the volume is okay for you on that. And my volume is not crazy. I'll try to modulate it the best I can on the road. This was outside the presence of the jury. So obviously there are things that need to be done outside the presence of the jury because the jury is not privy to everything that goes on in the courtroom. Hotel coffee is disgusting, just so you know. So just let me know that the sound is okay on this. Finally, we are getting a tight shot of my hero, Judge Michelle Leavitt, who is the mashup of Cyndi Lauper, Betsey Johnson, 90s Madonna, right? With the voice of Megan Mullally from Will and Grace playing Karen Walker. And I am here for her and I love her. A lot of people have pointed out some unusual, perhaps body movements on the fact that she chews gum. And I do not know if she has a medical condition. And so please no picking on the judge as far as her movements and stuff, because we don't know what, I don't know. And I don't know if she does have a medical condition or not, but this is a place where we try and focus on kindness. At least we try. And we talk about the witness's demeanor, testimony, whether their truthfulness and veracity, and whether we believe them or not, and whether we think what their testimony is good for them or bad for them. But in this case, this judge is great. Let's not, let's be better than that. And with regard to the witnesses too, but all the witnesses here in this trial have been beautiful. Each one is better looking than the next. A lot of powerful, strong, beautiful women in law enforcement. I don't think we've ever seen so many women law enforcement witnesses, not that I can recall in any other trial. But this is outside the presence of the jury and in front of, obviously, Tellus, because he's the client, he's the defendant. And here it is.
Final witness
Great question.
is Mr. Robert Tellus. I've conferred with Rob Baer, and we're going to ask the court's permission to allow him to testify by narrative.
Okay, that is fine. Anything else before we bring the jury panel in?
Nothing be off the state, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Tellus can take the stand.
Okay, that is fine. Is my volume a little loud? A little low compared to, I can try and fix it. Instead of automatically adjusting, I can turn it up a tad. Tell me if that's better. Okay, here's the reason. Here is the reason why he's giving a narrative, in my opinion. Better. Good. Thanks, Jules. Good. Sounds fine. No need to change. Thank you. Love you guys. Appreciate you so much. Lawyers are not allowed to suborn perjury, which means that if you know, or you have reason to know, or you believe, or you have a very strong belief that your client may lie on the stand, you are not allowed to put your client on the stand and suborn perjury. So if you put a client on the stand and you ask the client questions and you suborn perjury, knowing or should have knowingly or with reason to know that they will lie, and you will be suborning perjury by asking questions, you may ask the court for permission to have your client testify in a narrative fashion. That way, as the attorney, you are not breaching your ethical duties by suborning perjury and asking questions. But in this case, I believe that Boss Baby was hell-bent on testifying. Nobody was going to tell him no. This is his Hail Mary. This is his time to tell his story. And he was going to do it come hell or high water. Remember when we did the pretrial, and I think it was the first, we did 2 pretrial shows. I think it was the first one, maybe the second one. I don't remember. They all kind of blend together after a while. But we watched this Judge Leavitt give Boss Baby the soliloquy on why he should not represent himself. And she went on and on and on and on and on. And wanted to make sure that he understood that he's entitled to counsel, that it's a really bad idea, that even though you're a lawyer, it's a bad idea to represent yourself. You need to have an attorney. And he would hear none of it. In fact, after she read him that soliloquy and he said, yes, I'm going to testify, I'm going to represent myself no matter what, he filed a motion against her to get her recused, because he said she was biased against him because she didn't want him to represent himself. And he said that she was really mean to him and she bullied him. And you and I watched it together. She was so kind to him. Nothing could have been further from the truth. So I think this guy's got a warped sense of his own self-importance and his own intelligence, perhaps. And that was just the beginning of us getting a glimpse into that. And with his testimony yesterday, we saw, and we're going to see again because we're going to watch it, how that's panning out for him. So, two things. She's not objecting to him testifying in a narrative. He may have asked to be relieved. We don't know. His attorney, Draskovich, may have said, listen, Judge, I read him the riot act. I told him he shouldn't testify. I don't want to be in a position later where I'm being accused of being an ineffective attorney or him claiming ineffective counsel when I have done everything ethically to help him understand why he shouldn't testify. But he's a lawyer. He thinks he knows better than everyone. He thinks he understands what's going on here, and he will not listen to me. He may have tried to withdraw. We don't know. The judge may have said, listen, if he's insisting on testifying, we will agree to let him testify in a narrative fashion. That way, you're not suborning perjury. The prosecutors in this case have not been more fair and generous. This is the most fair and generous and kind, quite honestly, prosecution that we have seen in a long time. The team, the female attorney, her name, I will pull it, Pamela Weckerly, I believe her name is, and the Christopher Hamner is the male attorney. He's a little more, I'm not even aggressive, I'm just going to say assertive in style than she is, but he's effective, and they're both effective, and they're both kind. Like, this is just, it's weird to see, right? So my thoughts are, and I can't confirm this is just my own opinion, perhaps Draskovich tried to withdraw. The judge is like, no, you can't. We're in the middle of a trial. We got to get through this. Let's let him testify. I'm sure he's insisting. They all know this guy's personality. They've saw it pre-trial. You don't have to question him. Let him testify. Let him tell his story. That's what he wants to do. He comes up on the stand with notes. And of course, like we discussed another day when the witness brought notes in, the woman who saw a man dressed similarly at the park days before the murder. When you bring notes onto the stand or journals or diaries with you or a file to court, it's fair game for the other side. So he had to give the prosecution a copy of his notes. But this is what I found even more interesting. Now, remember, the jury's not in the room right now. The prosecutors were kind enough to consent to this. Like, they didn't have to. They stipulated, and a lot of people want to know a lot of times, like, what is a stipulation? A stipulation just means that both sides are agreeing. So they don't have to make a motion. They don't have to fight about it. It's like, we're stipulating that these exhibits are going to be allowed into evidence. We don't have to fight. We don't have to do these motions in lemonade, as we call them, before trial to exclude evidence or allow evidence. We're just going to stipulate we're going to agree. So here's what I also found interesting. Watch. The jury's not in the room yet. Tellis walks up there, is permitted to walk up to the stand, be sworn, and sit down before the jury is in the room. Before the jury's in the room. I think that's what it looked like. Why? Why? So the jury couldn't see the way he walks? I have questions. Yes, your mom got it right. It's unusual. Every other witness is called to the stand in open court in front of the jury. Defense calls Robert Tellis. They watch him walk up, yes, hiding his gait. Right, Lamar says his gait would have been so obvious to the jury. This is a great question. Can the jury ask him to walk? We'll see. They're going to be able to ask questions after cross. He could be on the stand for 2 more days. We don't know how long this is going to take. Exactly right. No cuffs. And that's okay. They're allowed to do that. He's got the right to appear in civilian clothing, which he's in, and also to be uncuffed. as the defendant. So yeah, everyone thought it was so weird, right? No, but you can see he's not shackled, right? That's a great question. That's a great point too, Harmony. So they're gonna swear him in now.
Joe County. I will swear. I will swear in front of the panel.
So they wait to swear him in front of the panel. So when the jury comes in, he's already seated, right? Strategic move. Was this something that both sides agreed on? Because it would be too prejudicial to see him walk. But isn't that part of the eyewitness testimony? I knew it was him because of the way he walked. Where's Susie Q? Is Susie Q here today? Because I think of Susie Q every time I think about the way he walks. Because that's a line. Thank you. Thank you, Brigitte. Hello. They did not see him walk up. Why would the state allow this? They have been very generous in what they've allowed. So we're going to see how that pans out. I don't think he's shackled on the ankles. But you know what? Let's take it back and let's watch and see if we can see him shuffling. And sadly, they didn't have the split screen yesterday during this portion of it. But listen, watch. I don't think he's shackled on leg shackled. He's definitely not handcuffed in front because he has notes and he goes through them. And also, JPC, they can't see how short he is. Great point, Team Brittany. Will they see him walk away? I don't know. Keep an eye out for that, though. Keep an eye out for what happens today when he takes the stand. Like I said, we're moving into a dorm this morning. It's a very emotional day for me. I'm not moving into the dorm. I wish I was moving into the dorm because I wish I was going back to college. But so I don't know what time it's going to be for me. And if you want to wait for me, great. If you can't because of whatever reason, but if you do watch it without me, pay attention to that. He appears to be walking normally without any shuffle. So I don't think his legs are shackled, but his hands definitely are not.
Joe County. I will swear. I will swear in front of the panel. He wants all the exhibits?
Or this is our copy of them.
Then that doesn't matter.
State house.
As far as the exhibits go, if he needs to use the exhibits.
This is when he starts bossing around like boss baby. He wants control. I'm sure that I am not a psychologist. I am a lawyer. But he's got this personality, in my opinion, that he needs to be in control. And this is his way of he has no control over anything else. He's been jailed since his arrest almost 2 years ago. And he has no control over anything except for right now, right here, his testimony. This is the only portion of control that he has over his future. He's facing life in prison. I don't know why they took the death penalty off the table, but they did. This is the only modicum of control that this man, attorney, boss baby has. Megamind. People are saying that. Yeah. Pickles from the store says Nancy Grace. We were calling her a mashup of 90s Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, and Betsey Johnson. But I don't see Nancy Grace in her. Maybe just because I'm not a huge fan. So I like this judge a lot. So there's that. He does. He's sitting here like he's holding court. He does look like Megamind. And he does. He's acting like he works there. And he did, he was the public administrator in Clark County. This trial is in Clark County. It's very possible that he spent a lot of time in this courthouse doing the probate work that he did. Yep. Great Dane mom. Notice how he puffed up his chest. Yep. Let's go back.
That we've admitted by stipulation. I don't have an objection to him using those exhibits. It seems like he may have notes though in front of him. So if he's using those notes, we're going to need it.
And just so the record's clear, Mr. Tuss, are you intending on referring to your notes in the course of your testimony?
Yes, then I'm gonna need a copy of this.
I'm providing the state a copy.
And that's where that happened. He brought his notes up on the stand like he's going to read a narrative. I guess he wants to make sure that, look, he doesn't forget anything, all of his salient points that he wants to make. And this is the Hail Mary. In my opinion, he rambles incoherently, doesn't make a lot of sense. I can't believe that he had notes, because it seemed to me like he was just going off of memory and the things that he wanted to say. And boy, he's got a lot of stuff to say. But none of it is connecting dots for anyone. And it just, what a mess.
He was ready.
So he has to turn over a copy of his notes to the other side.
Does Mr. Draskovich have a copy of the defendant's exhibit list with him that I provided earlier? Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
And Mr. Tellus, you have a copy of the exhibit list?
I've written those exhibit numbers next to my,
Perfect.
so I'm good on that and I think, as long as I can read my writing.
When he's ready for them, I will pull them.
And Your Honor, in order for this to proceed smoothly, when he refers to it, when Mr. Tellus refers to an exhibit, shall either myself or even.
All right, very please.
Yeah, Haley told me that she will make sure the record's clear.
Thank you. Well, please be seated.
Okay, does the state stipulate to the presence of the panel? Mr. Draskovich?
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll stipulate,
We'll stipulate.
correct? Mr. Draskovich? We're gonna call Mr.
Your Honor,
Tellus.
the defense calls Mr. Robert Tellus.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give.
Again, so they call him to the stand in front of the jury, but he's already on the stand. They didn't get to see him walk. I disagree. I disagree with that. I think he should have been called to the stand like a normal witness from the defense table so the jury could see how tall he is and the way he walks, because that's a huge part of this case.
This action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated. Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Robert Bayes. The first name is Robert. The last name is Telles.
Mr. Tellus,
And for the first time, we learned that we have all been pronouncing his name wrong, because he, in fact, pronounces it Tejas, which is Spanish pronunciation. The double L is pronounced like Y. And I don't understand why his attorney and the prosecutors and the judge and everyone has not been referring to him as Tejas from the beginning, because it's not a hard name to pronounce. If you have thoughts on that, let me know.
the state is going to allow you, or I think the court is going to allow you to testify by way of narration. So please tell us. Begin with your story, sir.
Thank you, sir. And so, first of all, and excuse me, I'm obviously a little nervous. This is it's a day I've been waiting for nearly 2 years. You know, this thing's been kind of a nightmare, frankly.
Kind of a nightmare for you? How about everyone who loved Jeff Gehrman? I mean, right away, the first thing he says is a completely self-centered, narcissistic statement. This has been a nightmare for me. He doesn't say for my family. Do they accept insanity pleas in Nevada? I'm going to have to look that up, but that's a great point, Lamar.
Again, I want to thank you for being here. And right now, I want to say unequivocally, I'm innocent. I didn't kill Mr. Gehrman. And I've got a lot to share with you all. There's been a lot of time.
Unequivocally, I'm innocent. I did not kill Mr. Gehrman. And then he goes on for another hour and a half. And how many times does he mention Jeff Gehrman's name? Let's count. That was the first time.
Testimony. And my concern is making sure that you hear what I think about all these things and what would, the concerns that
I want you to hear what I think about all these things. We talk about this all the time. We've talked about this during the Long Island serial killer press conferences, the way that the DA, Ray Tierney, speaks. And lawyers pick their words very carefully. We choose our words very carefully because words matter. Words have meaning, right? He's an attorney. So listen to the way he phrases this.
is making sure that you hear what I think about all these things and
What I think about all these things. What I think about all these things, like all these things that they're trying to do to me.
what would, the concerns that I have with some of these things that have been brought up. So
The concerns that you have about some of these things that were brought up, like the fact that people think that you murdered a guy who wrote a couple of hit pieces on you, ruined your career, your marriage, and your bid for re-election. Okay, I'll stop.
during my testimony, I'm going to be sharing opinions. I know that, folks like Zach Schilling and Mr. Mogg shared their opinions with you. And these opinions were, almost, I guess you could say, argumentative in a sense, right? Basically, Zach Schilling said, well, I'm an expert on shoes. And, I think that those shoes that the killer was wearing are the same ones that I've seen the shit is wearing all the time, right?
I mean, in Zach's defense, he did say he was a fashionista. The shoes brings me back to Karen Reed with the shoes. Karen Reed didn't take her shoes off in John O'Keefe's house twice. So she must have killed him because she knew that he was never coming home again, and she felt comfortable not taking off her shoes when she knew damn well that he had a shoeless house. Now we are again with the shoes. Everyone's got an opinion about me, and it's just not fair. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Out of Scope. This is it's my twins, 3 and 4. Numbers 3 and 4. Double whammy. In the same fall semester. So thank you. If you know, you know. If you don't, and your kids are little, just remember, the days are long, but the years are short.
So he's arguing that he's an expert and you should believe him. And I think the same goes for Mr. Mogg, right? So I think that when I share an opinion with you, someone might say it's argumentative. And when I say something, I guess I specifically mean the state. But I think that when I share an opinion with you, that's my right. And it's your right to decide whether or not you agree with my opinion or not, whether you want to adopt my opinion or not. So I'm just hoping that, I'm not stopped from sharing with you what I have to say.
And it's interesting because now he's calling it his opinion. He's not saying these are facts. He's not saying all these other people gave you their opinion about me and my sneakers, and that it must be me. He's saying, I'm going to give you my opinions. The judge is going to cut him off later and say, no, you're not allowed to give your opinions. He doesn't say to them, I'm going to give you the facts of what happened. I did not kill Jeff Gehrman. Here's where I was. Here's my alibi. Here's where I was when they say that crime was committed. Here's how I can explain to you all of the cellular forensics that have me driving around his neighborhood, casing out the joint. Here's why I have hundreds of photos of his house on my cell phone during a Celebrite extraction, which, by the way, is the gold standard of cell phone extraction. I'm going to give you my opinions. That's a very careful choice of words, right?
And when I guess right off the bat, I'll share an opinion with you. The medical examiner testified about how Mr. Gehrman was murdered. And, I had to see pictures of Mr. Gehrman's body, in preparation for the case. And
I had to see pictures of Jeff Gehrman's body. I had to. I was forced to. I had to. Look what they made me do. Look what they made me do. Look what they made me do. Name that tune, except as look what you made me do. I had to see pictures. Choice of words. He didn't say I saw pictures. I reviewed pictures. I had to. Peacocking. Poor boss baby. He's the lawyer. I had to see those pictures. They made me do it. But I didn't do it.
It's obviously it's ugly, but when the medical examiner testified, that's the first time I learned how Mr. Gurman was murdered. Now, I think it's the way that he was murdered speaks to, I think, something or someone who knows what they're doing. The idea that Mr. Gurman's throat was slashed and his heart was stabbed. I think that's, I don't know if anybody could just do that, right? Without some kind of training, without some kind of expertise. So, and I'm personally not combat trained. And none of that. So
I'm not a professional killer. I wasn't trained to kill, and therefore there's no way I could have possibly done this.
It seems to me that when I heard that, I thought, my God. So that's, I guess, one example of like the type of opinion I'll be sharing with you. And I want to also provide relevant facts, the truth, and things that I think are going to tend to disprove.
Relative facts, relatively factual, not real factual, relatively.
Prove a lot of what has been said. And also when it comes to some of the witnesses, some of the documents that I'm going to try to get in are going to kind of go to, whether or not they're being truthful. So again, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get those documents into. I guess we'll see how that goes as well.
Because as the judge pointed out to me pre-trial when she was giving me the soliloquy about why I shouldn't represent myself, she also did explain to me that I probably don't know the rules of evidence. And now I'm admitting to you that I probably don't know the rules of evidence. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Jen. This is the first time I ever learned how Jeff Gehrman died. I didn't know. This is the first time. This is all new to me. Wouldn't he have seen the autopsy report and the photos to prepare for trial? Yeah, it's all ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's nonsense. He represented himself for a very long time. I forget how many months. If you guys know exactly how long it was it a year? He fired 3 lawyers. Then he went pro se for a while. And that was, he actually, I thought was, at least at one of the hearings that we watched, I don't know how many we watched, he seemed a little more competent than he does today. But of course he did. He had the entire file when he was pro se. So again, he's trying to pull one over on the jury. And look, I don't know. There's 7 women and 7 men on the jury. I don't know any more about that. I don't know the demographics. 2 will be alternates, obviously, because unlike Florida, in Las Vegas, they actually have a 12-person criminal jury. Ashley Benefield had a 6-person criminal jury. So that's disingenuous, I think, at best.
First, I want to kind of go into my background a little bit. So out of high school, I got a job at a small computer store and building computers, that type of thing. And then I got an opportunity to work in IT, right? Information technology, working as a network technician. The .com crash occurred, and from there I ended up going into property management. And I enjoyed that. I became a.
How does the .com crash affect your career as an HVAC person? Did he just connect? Can somebody tell me? This is now where he's going to talk about, like, I'm a regular guy. I'm a regular guy. Don't punish me. I'm a regular guy. Look at me. I'm a regular guy. I went to night school to get my law degree. I was doing HVAC. The .com crash. So I went into real estate.
A leasing agent, then this.
Oh, HVAC was after this? All right, hold on.
And then I got an opportunity to work in a background a little bit. So out of high school, I got a job at a small computer store and building computers, that type of thing. And then I got an opportunity to work in IT, right? Information technology, working as a network technician. The .com crash occurred.
Oh, okay.
And from there, I ended up going into property management. And, I enjoyed that. I became a leasing agent, then an assistant manager, then a manager. Then I took a strange turn and got into maintenance, fixing stuff inside apartments, that type of thing.
Why is that strange? If there's any maintenance people on your jury, you've just alienated them. I took a strange turn.
And from there, started to get involved in air conditioners. So then I became an HVAC technician, an air conditioning technician. And it was all, self-study. Right? I took a course for the EPA certification, which is, the license that you're required in order to handle like refrigerant, like Freon, those types of things. I kind of learned like the basics of air conditioning on my own. And the only reason I say it is, like going along is like I've kind of developed this analytical mind, right? And so that led to me becoming an attorney. And so then that even built more on that analytical mind, where I think about, all the things, like all the things wrong in this case.
There's nothing analytical about your narrative testimony. Somebody's saying, why is the prosecution not objecting? He's allowed to testify. He's testifying with regard to, he's testifying in narrative fashion. He's telling a story. They've consented to let him do that. He will be crossed. But Ned, if you were a little bit late, go back and listen to my explanation of why, in my opinion, his attorney wanted him to testify in a narrative fashion. He is going to dislocate his shoulder, patting himself on the back. He's a creep. He's the weirdo. Yeah, none of this has to do with Gehrman at all, Kim. And you'll see he's only mentioned his name one time.
And you add on top of that, the fact that I've been sitting in a cell for close to 2 years. So I've had a lot of time to think about a lot of these issues. So again, I think I'm going to point out some strange things about this case.
These issues, you mean your murder charges? I've been sitting in a cell for almost 2 years. Your story should be so much better than this. You should have crafted this with a fine quill pen. You've had 2 years. When he starts to ramble on. Ask yourself, you've had 2 years to come up with this story, and this is what you're doing. You even have notes in front of you, man.
But anyway, going back to my background. So became an HVAC technician. I started working at the College of Southern Nevada. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to name check I was going to say local community college. Sorry, I'm very nervous.
Okay, this is BS. I rewound this 3 times last night. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to name check. 100% meant to name check the small community college that he went to work at, just in case some of these people on the jury went to that college, because you can bet they did a very thorough questionnaire and voir dire, and I bet you somebody on that jury went to that college. Oh, didn't mean to name check. Do you think he meant to name check? Somebody said the heavy sighs. Yeah, we have a sigh emoji for that. That's left over from Judge Cannoni, the Karen Reed trial. So let's see the sigh emoji. The college was a
HVAC technician. I started working at the College of Southern Nevada. Oh,
College of Southern Nevada. CSN, I think it's called.
Sorry, I didn't mean to name check I was going to say local community college. Sorry, I'm very nervous. Excuse me. So I started working at CSN, managing a team, and I was doing that by day. And I went to law school at night. They have a part-time program at Boyd School, or they did then anyway. I don't know if they still have it, but I went through law school at night. But before I got into law school, I met my wife online.
Not to diss anybody who met their spouse or SIGO online, but She really should have swiped whatever way you should swipe to reject the person. Just saying.
Started dating. I got into law school. We got married. We had our daughter together. So by this point, I had a stepson. I had my daughter from a previous marriage, and my wife and I had our daughter together. When I got out of law school, I opened my own probate firm, or my own law firm, and I focused on probate law. Now, you heard this term earlier from Detective Jaffe, probate, and also, of course, a couple of other witnesses. And, I do have a correction for, I guess, the way that Detective Jaffe characterized probate law, but I'll get into that as we discuss further Compass Realty. So I want to go from here, from my probate work, into how I became the public administrator. I was, again, a probate attorney, working cases for families. And John Cahill, the public administrator at the time, he saw me in court and, saw that I was, kind of a new face. And so he started giving me a couple of cases in there. He worked with various attorneys throughout town. So I started doing some work for him. And I can't remember exactly how long I've been working for him, at least a few months, maybe 6 months. But I was part of this volunteer group. We had these weekly meetings where we would bring people in to speak.
Volunteer group. Look at me. Philanthropy. Look at me. I'm a good person. Look at me. Look at me. I volunteered for something.
Right. And the group was very interested in learning about things happening in Vegas. Right. So I thought, well, gosh, getting the Clark County Public Administrator in to speak would be really great, because nobody knows what this guy does. When you hear the title Clark County Public Administrator, a lot of people think that we're talking about the guy who runs the whole county or something.
Nobody knows what this guy does. Therefore, it would be a great job for me. I should run for public administrator because nobody knows what this guy does. So I can pretty much basically, F off all day and get a paycheck.
Right. I mean, that's oftentimes when I was in the office, I had these emails from people telling me to fix this on that side of town, or this, that, whatever issue. Right. So it's the public administrator, is the probate administrator for the county. And again, it's basically the office that safeguards property until family can step in. Because again, when the coroner got there, the coroner couldn't find the family. So it's our job to do the safeguarding. And if for some reason the family can't or does not want to do the administration, our office takes over and does that administration. So, I got in there, hit the ground running. We're working. I find out at a certain point as I'm going to court that there's a situation with some of these private administrators. Now, a private administrator is, when we talk about them, is anybody who is handling administrations, or really, I'd say private corporate administrators, because any family member could be a private administrator, right? The probate commissioner, who is basically an appointee of the probate judges, he had these concerns with some of these folks, right? And I was in a hearing one day where he asked me to take a look at a case, and the attorney for one of these guys, or one of these firms, was there, and we were talking, and he told me that that his client had been doing these things for so much time, and that the prior public administrator didn't have a concern with it. And I asked him, well, where are the this is the first I'm hearing about this. He said, well, we've been mailing your office notices every time that we come to court. And so, just FYI, the fact that these folks were required to send me notices was ordered by the probate commissioner because he was very troubled by what he saw going on.
Just FYI, everybody was doing everything wrong. And I'm the only one who could come in here and fix it, even though I had no idea what a public administrator did. But I'm the only one who could do this job. A lot of self-aggrandizing going on here, right? Hi, Keith. Good morning. Says, how typical it is that a defendant speaks on the stand in this narrative style. If you're just joining, welcome. I pointed out earlier that, in my opinion, his attorney, this happens in certain cases. I don't know that this is exactly the case in this case, but attorneys are ethically not allowed to suborn perjury. So if they have reason to believe that their client may lie on the stand, they will ask for the client to testify in a narrative fashion. That way they're not asking questions and therefore suborning perjury. Both sides agreed to this. He will be crossed. It is not typical. Not typical. We rarely see it. We saw Ashley Benefield take the stand. She was questioned by her attorney. Alec Murdaugh took the stand. He was questioned by his attorneys, and he also is an attorney. This is intentional. And either the client insisted upon it, which I think he may have, or my other gut feeling is right in that his attorney may have wanted to withdraw because he advised him not to take the stand and he insisted on doing it anyway. And he didn't want to suborn perjury. So here's where we are.
With this firm. And so I told him, no, I've been at this for maybe 7-8 months, and this is the first I'm hearing of it. He said, oh, no, I promise we're sending you every notice. So I get to the office, and I find out that, at the direction of the prior public administrator, the office had been throwing away all of those documents, and they just basically continued on with that process of just throwing the documents away. And I told my staff, we're not doing that anymore. I need to look at these. I need to see why the probate commissioner was so concerned. So I did an analysis, and I found that there were some troubling concerns. I created a spreadsheet, and I guess at this point I want to see if I could share X2.
Gonna start sharing his own witnesses. I mean, his own exhibits. It is so bizarre. Let's move on. They're gonna have a little discussion about this exhibit. We may speed it up a little just so he gets through his rambling.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, Your Honor. And again, this goes to the theory of my case, right? Somebody framed me for this, and I believe that it's Compass Realty, and I believe that it's for the work that I've done against them. And this document here shows the start of.
Somebody framed me for this, and I believe it's Compass Realty. But why would Compass Realty kill Jeff Gehrman? Why wouldn't they just kill him? If he was standing in their way of making millions of dollars because he uncovered some grand scheme that they were buying up houses of people who died intestate and then flipping them after fixing them up, buying them at a low price and then selling them and making millions of dollars. Why wouldn't they just kill him? Strains credulity. For me, I don't know what the jury's going to think.
Of the work that I began against them. You're going to hear much more about the things that I did and the things that they did. And so, again, this spreadsheet, I think really, it's the beginning. And so I'd ask if I could please have it admitted.
X2 is being proposed. Is there any further objection?
I'll stand by my prior argument.
It's admitted.
So when you view this exhibit, or X2, you'll see that there's a spreadsheet attached to it. And I just want to go over a few of the cases with you. And well, generally, first I'll tell you that, again, it was about.
This is a spreadsheet that he made himself to try to explain why he thinks Compass Realty is framing him for the murder of an investigative journalist, Jeff Gehrman.
60 cases. And let's see here. And there was, for about 60 cases, there's about a $6 million difference between, and this is total, this is not each, but obviously, for those cases, there's about a $6 million total between the time that the estate sold the property to the time that the person who purchased it sold it to another person, right? And so that's quite a bit of money for that. I'll say that originally, the estates in total sold the properties for $8.5 million. And later, the people who sold it after, they sold it for about $14.5 million, right? So when you're talking about $8.5 million and then making $6 million, I mean, it's nearly double, right? From one sale to the next sale.
Your math ain't mathin'. It's more than double. 6 million to 15 million. He's making 0 cents. They're like, what are you talking about?
And if you look at some of the homes on here, you'll see, for example, there's this one, Prince, Bobby. So the deceased's name is Bobby Prince. The estate sold the home on December 31st of 2018 for $232,000.
Oh, that reminds me. Mike Prince. You guys watch Billions? Did you watch Billions? Love that guy. The guy who played Mike Prince. He's also bald. Just a diversion from this boring testimony. If you know, you know.
And the next sale was done the same day. So the person who bought it resold it the same day for $50,000 more. Now, as administrators have a fiduciary duty to get the maximum value that they can for the estate. When I see a situation, and again, this is the most extreme one. I mean, I'm not saying that all of them are like this, but all of them are. There's a significant difference between the one price and the other price. But this is just the most extreme one. Is for someone to be able to resell a property the same day for $50,000 more, it's just not right. So, and again, you'll see that. Again, anywhere from 30 to 50% between the two sales when you review this exhibit.
Nope. Oh, we have a nope emoji too. Members, put some nope emojis in the chat, please. Misty says, do you find all this information necessary? Nope. But he's allowed to tell the story. And then somebody else said, I can't believe the prosecution's not objecting. I can. The longer he talks, the more he can be cross-examined on. Let him dig. We have shovels. We have shovel emojis too. Nopes and shovel. Look how we're getting to reuse the emojis from the Karen Reed trial. He's digging himself in a hole. Dig, dig, dig.
And so this floored me, right, to see that this is going on. And immediately, all I knew was that there was something funny going on here. And what troubled me too is that the prior public administrator said, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to do anything about it. Throw them in the trash. And I think that disturbs me because that's really the role of the Clark County public administrator, right? I think Compass Realty has made this argument that, that's not the jurisdiction of the public administrator. But if you think about it, whether we are trying to secure property so someone can't jump through the window and steal everything in the house, or we're trying to stop somebody from stealing equity, I believe it's the same thing. And so that's, I absolutely disagree with John Cahill. So we've got a duty to protect these estates, right? Whether it's, again, stopping criminals from getting into the houses and stealing stuff, or unscrupulous real estate agents from trying to work the system. So I started to object to all of these petitions. And as I told you before, it was the probate commissioner who told me, look, I need to start looking at this. This doesn't seem right. And I asked him, I said, well, why can't you stop these? Not that I was saying I don't want to do it, but out of curiosity, why can't you? And he told me that the law, and so I'll tell you right now that, sorry, just coming backwards a bit, this, because I think it's now is a good time to talk about this independent administration. So independent administration is not a generally used form of probate. It's, rarely used. What independent administration allows somebody to do is to sell houses without going through the regular court process. You basically circumvent the whole process. And so the reason that I didn't, really look into it is I never had a need to use it. Because normally during the probate process, when somebody's selling a house, you've got to ask the court for permission. You give everybody notice. And you allow, when you do this, for the estate to get the best value. Because what happens is all of these folks out there who are interested in buying and flipping properties, whatever, they scour all of these listings. So if you ever go to probate court on a Friday, you'll see that, there are real estate investors just all over the place, right? But so by publishing it, you ensure that you're going to get the best value possible. These people are watching and they're saying, oh, you know what? Maybe there's an extra 20 grand I can squeeze out of that. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to go after it, right? And so
not necessarily. I told you that when I was a young lawyer, there was a very kind judge who wanted to give me some business. And he gave me, he was related to somebody that I knew or something. I don't know. Maybe it was a distant relative. He assigned me to do property auctions on the courthouse steps. And I did it a couple of times. And it was really interesting because there are people who, that's all they do is go to these property auctions on the courthouse steps. Houses that are in foreclosure, houses that they're trying to sell from an estate to get some money for the estate. And it's a business for people. And this is what they do. And they're a lot more savvy than he is. So I don't know that the jury's going to understand what he's even talking about here. Their sales are noticed. They're published in the paper. And that's how these people show up to buy these properties and they flip them. That's what people do. You don't buy real estate to lose money. But he thinks he uncovered this grand scheme or scandal. He fashions himself a whistleblower. And he thinks that because he was a whistleblower, that's why they framed him to kill him. Compass Realty.
It's good for the families. So, and it's transparent. So when somebody uses this Independent Administration Act, and they're a corporate probate administrator, that's concerning. Because basically what they're trying to say is, well, I want to sell this property out of this estate, but I don't want it to go through the regular process. I want to be able to sell it to this guy at this price, and that's it. And when they would use this type of law, the law says that if nobody objects, then the probate commissioner has to grant the petition. Right, so his hands were tied. So one of the things I did do later was I actually went to the legislature and raised my concerns. And there are folks in the legislature that agreed. And so we were able to change the laws so that I had greater watchdog capabilities in these situations.
Damn, that said he wanted to be the watchdog. He wanted to be the watchdog. He wanted more control. He wanted control of everything. Just like he wants control of his case. He wants control of this trial. This is why he's rambling on. Trying to explain himself and why they would want to kill him. Because he was a watchdog.
Which I think only made this situation more dire for certain folks. And again, I'll get further into that. But so, I began to go ahead and file objections to these petitions. And the probate commissioner pretty much granted my objections just about every time. Because in the regular law, again, not independent administration, just generally, the public administrator has higher priority than all other people, except for family, right? And we would never step in the way of family. Family member wants to handle the estate, great. If we're in the middle of getting ready to handle a probate estate, and I'm sorry, I know I'm talking as though I'm still there, but I think for the purposes of of what I'm sharing with you.
I know I'm talking as if I'm still there because in my delusional mind, I still am the public administrator. Nobody fired me. I haven't been in jail for 2 years. Stupid, stupid, stupid.
I'm just going to continue to do that. We would say, okay, you know what? Great. Maybe we have this fee or that fee that you got to pay. Could be a couple $100, but we don't want to, we're not here to take away anything from you. Happy to transfer it, right? And we got to, per the county's codes, or we've got to charge the fee, right? It's not something we just say, well, we're going to waive it and you can go. But like I said, it was never any like real burden to pay the $150 to take over, especially when they're done liquidating, they're looking at thousands of dollars in the family's pocket. But again, it's their money, right? But when it came to, again, third-party administrators, if I saw that there was something strange going on, I stepped in. Now, if there's a third-party administrator who was, when I reviewed the petition, appeared to be above board, wasn't doing anything fishy, I didn't get involved.
Look at Mike King in the house, profiling evil. Hi, Mike King. Hi. I credit you for introducing me to Vinnie Politan because it was on your show that I met Vinnie Politan. Started talking about Karen Reed with him. How are you, Mike? I hope you're doing well. This is a crazy trial, right? Crazy. Royalty in the house, my friends. Royalty. Yeah, this guy's still. I didn't get involved if there was nothing fishy going on, but everything fishy was going on. Everything fishy was going on, and he was going to fix it.
Right? If they were utilizing the regular court process, they weren't, again, trying to hide anything, then great. More power to you. But the one company that was doing this over and over again, more than anybody else, was Compass Realty, and they were doing it through Thomas Moore. And so, anytime one of Thomas Moore's petitions came through, the probate commissioner said, "You've got to give it to the public administrator's office," and I think that's where that whole thing started way back, right? So,
Jason Smith, I agree. But if there are laws in place that allow them to do that, that's just capitalism. Sounds like you don't think that's fair and that's something different, right? Everything is very, very personal to him.
As they were, as I was going at this and filing the objections, they started to fight back in various ways. First, they started to threaten to sue me. They said, "Well, you're messing with our business," right? And I wasn't afraid of them because, what they were doing was not right. They started making complaints to my assistant county manager, or county management, trying to get my assistant county manager to stop me. And we had meetings, he and I said, this is not okay. I'm not gonna. I can't agree to that. No. So, despite their complaints over and over again to county, my county manager said, "You know what? I can't do anything. He's the guy in charge. Sorry."
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Started,
Shaggy.
Filing these false claims about me in court pleadings.
Ah, there it is.
Saying that I was trying.
Oop, there it is. Oop, there it is. They were filing false allegations about me in court pleadings. All he's doing yesterday, when this was, is giving more motive for him to have done this. Right? Everybody's against me. I'm trying to do everything. I'm trying to fix things, and they're filing false allegations against me. Once again, he has mentioned Jeff Gehrman's name once at the very beginning of his testimony.
To steal their business, that I was trying to steal it for myself. Now, at the time I was a salaried employee. Like some of the smaller counties, they have a setup where the public administrators, all they earn is a commission based on the estates they put through the process. Okay, but not so with Clark County. With Clark County, you get a paycheck and that's it. So I never received a commission off of any of the states that we administered, ever.
Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. I thought this was a good point. He was on salary, not commission. I find it's bizarre that public administrators are working on commission in some parts of the country. Good point. Didn't really matter. He got paid no matter what. But I just feel like he wanted to be the most important guy, and it's a low-level position politically, and he's a complainer.
So to say that, I was trying to do this to get something out of it was just false. Again, just trying to sling mud to see if they couldn't scare me off or do it. I don't know. Then in early 2022, about March 2022, I approached Steve Wolfson. Now, he and I and other elected department heads, we would have regular meetings, and we would coordinate. And elections were around the corner, so we started talking about what ideas do you have? What ideas do you have? That type of thing, right? And during one of our meetings, I had mentioned that I had this concern with this company. About a year before, I had raised the issue with the Attorney General's office, and apparently they didn't see where the wrong was. But the weird thing about that was that they took less than a month for the investigation, and so I don't know if the Attorney General thought, well, we don't get it, we don't see how this is crime or what. But I think about a month later, Compass Realty had a letter in hand saying that they didn't see any wrongdoing. Like I said, to me, that was just weird. And again, I will get into why this is not just about mail. I think Detective Jaffe said, "Oh, this is about mailings." No, it's way worse than that, in my opinion. So I told Mr. Wolfson about the situation. You've got these guys who are again from one sale to the next. I mean, we're looking at anywhere, again, close to 50%. He's like, well, okay. And I asked him, well, can you do an investigation? He said, well, that's not our department. I mean, we don't do investigations. Because I thought, well, the AG does investigations. Maybe the DA does too.
Sounds like Canton PD. We don't do investigations. We don't do that here. We let the CERT team take over, and they don't really do it either. So this allegedly is all taking place in March of 2022. May of 2022 is when Jeff Gehrman starts writing these hit pieces about him. Martha Chapman says, thank you for the 20. Throw bleached Madeleine Albright power vibe into the judges mix. Like it. We're going to put him at, I don't know, let's try 1.5 speed and see how crazy he sounds at 1.5 speed. Because really, he says nothing but babble until the end. Let's see how that'll work out for us at 1.5 speed. I'm sure you won't mind. Might even be entertaining. You might sound like one of the chipmunks. Or one of the 7 dwarfs. He kind of does. Kind of looks like one of the 7 dwarfs, right? Which one was it? Dopey? Grumpy? Grumpy. Grumpy. Grumpy boss, baby. Needs a binky. Let's go at 1.5 speed and see how it works out.
I know someone who can help you. There's this guy I know in public corruption.
I got a guy. I got a guy for you. I got a guy. You need a guy. You got a guy. Gotta have a guy. You gotta have a guy for everything. You need a guy. Gotta get a guy. I got a guy. Public corruption.
Put you in touch with him. Mr. Jaffe, I don't know if it was a day or two later, calls me. We discussed the case on the phone. We set up a meeting. I go down there with the package with all of my materials. And I actually included a letter to him with that. A letter in that kind of highlighted some of the concerns. And so I'd like to share J1. It was a letter to Detective Jaffe.
Oh, a letter. He writes letters. He's like Johnny Letter. Johnny Letter. Mike Myers' character on SNL that we talked about this morning when I got that nasty letter. Johnny Letter. Anybody remember Johnny Letter? Or is it just Little Cupcake and Me? The 1991 SNL skit with Mike Myers. Johnny Letter wrote revenge letters to everyone.
And so one of the things that I had noted in this letter, and again, it's a 4-page letter, like I said, getting into detail about what had been going on and what, I guess you'll see. But one of the issues I noted was this estate of James Clark. And I noted that in this case, we found that Thomas More had removed everything from the kitchen before any sale of the home. Removing the kitchen, and of course, this also involved the flooring, but it didn't say that here, but removing the kitchen before the sale would devalue the property in a way that would allow Moore to get a lower appraisal value before making the sale. There are photos that we took on 5/1/2019 showing that the kitchen was in place at the time that the decedent died. So what had happened was that we had taken over because family wasn't found.
What had happened was we took over because they couldn't find the family. Then there was a kitchen. Then there was no kitchen. And they got it cheap, and then they redid the kitchen. Let's listen. What had happened was
Family came in, they took over, but apparently something happened where they couldn't administer it. In the meantime, Thomas More stepped in. So we came in the picture, got out of the picture, family stepped in, then Thomas More stepped in because I think a notice of default was filed with the recorder's office because the mortgage had gone into arrears. And so maybe I'll explain that just a little bit. So when somebody dies, oftentimes the way that these private administrators get word.
yeah, we know that mortgages go into arrears, people go into foreclosure. I think the jury probably understands that concept, but go on with your bad self.
I mean, and I think these guys have a different method, but one of the ways that they typically do is they watch for these public notices that the homes have gone into default because the mortgages have lapsed. Like somebody stopped paying the mortgage, right? And so now at this point, the mortgage company is getting ready to do a foreclosure, right? So they do this. Thank you, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. They do this notice of intent to default, right? And this is the signal to some of these folks. Okay, well, I should go check this out and see why this is a default. Maybe I'll go knock on the door and see if anybody's home. Look through the window, see if if it looks like it's lived in. And they might do more research and try to find out who it was that was there and whether they died or not, right? So then based on that, they'll file a petition in court to take over, to get this administration so they could sell the real property. So when they had taken control of this property from that point to the point that family notified us again that, this estate had been taken from them, we stepped in. I filed an objection. We got into the house and found out that Thomas More had ripped out the flooring in the kitchen before a sale that he was preparing for. And so that was in this first note to Detective Chappie. Early on, this was March 6th of 2022, that I raised that particular concern with Detective Chappie. So about 2 weeks later, Detective Chappie told me, hey, you know what, I learned from Detective Chappie that they discovered that Compass Realty or Thomas More, they were not reporting on the closing documents for the estates, any personal property at all. So, when somebody dies and they have a house, you've got stuff in the house, right? Given that Vegas is a commuter city, most people have a car, right? At least one car. So, for someone to die with a house, but zero property of any value inside the house or any car, Detective Chappie thought that was really odd. He's like, there's something wrong here. So we're going.
I don't think that you can testify as to what Detective Chappie thought, especially since you think that Detective Chappie is one of the people framing you. So you think Compass Realty was stealing all the furniture and the cars? Or who was doing that exactly?
It is my understanding that they were going to go ahead and do stakeouts. Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be with some type of static car that just sits there empty with a video camera, but basically my understanding is they were going to do observation on some of these homes when they still had property inside them, vehicles in front of them, and see what exactly happened with all that stuff. Because again, if you've got a house that's worth $500,000, you should probably have property inside the house that's kind of commensurate with that, right? You might have $5,000, $10,000 worth of property that can be sold. For the public administrator's office, oftentimes there was personal property to be sold, recovered and sold in apartments, right? I mean, there's very, very often stuff that's worth, at least $3,000, $4,000, right? And so it's the probate administrator's duty, whether you're the public administrator or private administrator, to ensure that those items are sold and the benefit is provided to.
Duty, Boss Baby has said duty. What are they going to, they do garage sales at the public? You're going to go out there and run a garage sale? You're going to put up poster board on the telephone poles announcing a garage? What do you, really? Great point about Vegas, people making millions and millions of dollars, and these people, Kitty the Florida cat mom. So in Vegas, where casinos and tourism bring in billions of dollars a year, some real estate company is going to frame a guy for murder over a couple million? Okay. At 1.5 speed, he sounds fine to me. If you guys think it's too fast, let me know.
To the estate, right? So when these guys have done hundreds of estates and no personal property has been reported and no vehicles have been reported, it seemed that was a concern for Mr. Chappie. But after that, I really didn't hear much more. And I understand that he said that he and I were buddies and we talked often, but that wasn't the case. That was kind of strange.
Oh, the Higgins is coming out in him. Chappie ghosted me. Chappie ghosted me. He was really concerned and then he ghosted me. He didn't get back to me.
I never considered him like a friend per se. Not that I'm trying to say about that, but for him to say that he thought we were good friends, I couldn't understand how you characterize it that way. I guess when he was claiming that, we'll get to the ambulance situation later.
What? Now he's offended that Jappy referred to him as a friend? Hold on, we gotta take this back.
It seemed that was a concern for Mr. Jappy. But after that, I really didn't hear much more. And I understand that he said that he and I were buddies and we talked often, but that wasn't the case.
Buddies?
That was kind of strange. I never considered him like a friend per se. Not that
Did Jappy say they were buddies? I don't remember that testimony. You tell me.
I'm trying to think about that, but for him to say that he thought we were good friends, I couldn't understand how you characterize it that way. I guess when he was claiming that, we'll get to the ambulance situation later. But so he said, again, that we're going to do these.
The ambulance situation later. Yes, when they found him, he was stuck in the bathtub when they went to arrest him. The SWAT team came. We heard from SWAT Daddy. That was a great day of testimony. He was stuck in the bathtub with what we later learned were very significant or deep wounds to his arms. He was trying to take his own life. And I think Jappy was called to try and talk to him. But I don't think Jappy ever said they were buddies.
Things, and they were going to do title research, and again, still, I didn't hear anything about the concerns with the James Clark situation or even the Reggie Abdul situation. And then I'll get into that situation here in a little bit. But, that same month, Rita Reed, my assistant public administrator, who's now the current public administrator, she filed for the position. And also a Compass Realty realtor filed to run for the position as well.
Oh, that's
so,
why they
again,
did this. They framed me so they could be the public administrator. Rita Reed filed false allegations against me in federal court for toxic work environment, age discrimination, toxic workplace, accused me of having a backseat lover, surreptitiously videotaped me in the backseat with poor Rebecca, who, by the way, I'm sorry, Roberta, her name was Roberta, who testified on camera. And then there was a witness who testified off camera yesterday. So I'm curious about that. Why did Roberta have to be on camera and the witness from yesterday was allowed to be off camera? If anybody knows the answer to that, let me know.
At this point, Compass Realty seems like doing everything they could to try to stop me, even running one of their own employees to try to take the seat from me. It was in the end of April. Now, and I'd like to, at the end of April,
Ding, 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 ding.
I guess I'm not sure how the conversation went or how this interaction went between Rita Reed and one of the folks from Compass Realty. But Rita Reed, for her campaign, received $10,000. $10,000 from, $5,000 from Adam Fenn and $5,000 from Compass Realty. And I would like to, if I could, share L1.
Okay, so now are you alleging that Rita is corrupt because you're opening the door, as one of our attorneys just told us, Stephanie, to having the women testify in rebuttal? Kick the door in. Kick. This trial may go on longer than we think. Rita had it out for me. Rita wanted my job. Rita, they donated to Rita's campaign. They wanted Rita in there because she's corrupt and I'm not. So it sounds like to me, reading between the lines.
The document here again is Rita Reed's campaign contribution report from the Nevada Secretary of State. And I'm turning to...
Thank you, Ann Higgins, for pointing that out. The witness stated she feared retaliation, and so they didn't show her on camera. Great point. Thanks for pointing that out.
You know what? I think I might have to admit a different exhibit for another day. My apologies, but this is report number 1, and the contributions from Compass Realty and Adam Fenn are on report number 2. So my apologies. So
yes, in case you are counting, in case you're keeping count, Kat Randall is pointing out to us it's now Jappy, Moore, and Rita, all 3. Oh, and of course, Zach, because Zach pointed out the sneakers. He's an expert on shoes. So there's 4 potential third-party culprits. right?
And so
That's just not the document you want.
that's correct. So if you
Oh, you want me to slow it down when he argues with the judge? Okay. I will. I'm here. I'm taking requests. I feel like a DJ today. Happy to oblige.
the document here again is Rita Reed's campaign contribution report from the Nevada Secretary of State. And I'm turning to, oh, you know what? Sure, I think we might have to admit a different exhibit for another day. My apologies, but this is report number 1 and the contributions from Compass Realty and Adam Fenner.
For another day. Okay, you guys, this is it. This is my quote of the day. Robert Tellis is doing a residency in Clark County Court. He's going to be on the stand for many, many days. It's like a residency. That's what they do in Vegas, right? Adele did a residency. She's still doing it. Lady Gaga did a residency, which I sadly would have loved to go to, didn't get to go. Dead and Company just did a residency at the Sphere. I did go to that. That was freaking amazing. U2 did a residency. Robert Tellez, boss baby himself, is doing a residency in that chair on the witness stand in Judge Michelle Leavitt's courtroom. Don't miss it. Tickets are free. You just got to get a seat.
Are on report number 2. So my apologies. So
Tellis Unplugged.
And so
That's just not the document you want.
that's correct. So if you would note that we're going to be looking at, when I bring that back tomorrow, we'll be looking at report number 2 that has those.
Oh, I can't wait.
So
Residency.
so I end up,
Residency.
I guess after this happens, about 2 weeks later, Mr.
Now we got to go back to 1.5, which is normal speed. Chip. It's funny. It doesn't even sound like a chipmunk, which is kind of weird.
German's article, his first article comes out. And I think we had those text messages from me from the day that I saw the article where I was upset. And
Yeah.
Anybody who's the subject of an article that says certain things about you, could reasonably feel upset about it.
Boss baby getting upset. George is getting upset. Boss baby's getting upset. George is getting upset. Name that TV show. George is getting upset.
I'll note that later, as we go through my tweets, you'll see that that same demeanor from that day is not exhibited in any of my tweets later. And again, we'll go over that later. But so the articles come out and all that, and Rita Reed, and I'll show you in the campaign report, or you'll be able to review the campaign report. She didn't get too many contributions other than this $10,000 from Adam Fenner and Compass Realty. She ended up running 2 different text message campaigns, publicizing to voters the articles, right? And that cost about, I think, $9,000 or so. That'll be on later campaign reports how much was spent. So you'll see that this $10,000 that was given by Compass Realty and Adam Fenner went directly to this text message campaign. And I lost the primary. It was a bummer. I mean, sorry, I don't know what.
This text message campaign against me, those contributions were $10,000. The campaign against me cost $9,000. They had it in for me. I'm a victim here.
It was unfortunate, but I continued to fight against Compass Realty, and I think that's something they didn't expect. Right? And I did it just because I thought it was the right thing to do. Right? I didn't. I could have just gone home and put up my feet and done no work at all anymore. But I continued that particular battle. I had nothing to gain from it because, in 7 months I was out anyway.
I was on salary.
There was nothing for me to gain other than just doing what I.
There was nothing for you to gain because you were on salary. You're getting paid whether you went into the office or not, and you didn't go into the office for quite a bit after that. So, are you trying to make us think you're a good guy because you continued to work? He even tried to work in prison or in jail. He's not in prison yet. He tried to convince everybody that he could still be the public administrator while he was in jail. And it did continue for a little while until they took his job away from him. Like his rattle and his binky. It's mind-numbing. The lack of self-awareness. The self-importance is mind-numbing.
Doing the job. Right? And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's the state of Rajab Abdul where we got some headway on something. I had been discussing with one of the heirs what Compass Realty was doing in that case. And so we were, she was concerned and she asked us to intervene. So I filed a petition and we had a hearing, I believe it was on June 29th of 2022. And I'd like to see if we could play the hearing video from that hearing. And this is
Ooh, he wants to play a video. Let's play a video on the overhead projector. Clark County Courtroom of Dr. Michelle Leavitt, the Honorable Justice Michelle Leavitt, who I would love to interview. I wonder if she would come on the show. Anybody have a line to Judge Leavitt? She would be such a fantastic guest. Hold on.
The district attorney wants an opportunity to review
Wait,
it.
I do have to slow her down. Hold on, 'cause she rarely speaks, and it is a pleasure every time she does.
The district attorney wants an opportunity to review it, and so I'm going to reserve on that. And you can probably talk about it maybe tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was really, I'd like to have the jury see that video.
But they said no,
Yes.
not today. There's an
I'd
objection.
like to go ahead and,
Move
if I
on.
may, share the
Counselor,
Rajab Abdul inventory. And that is, excuse me, M1.
he's waiting for the objection. He's looking over like, you gonna let me do this one? You gonna let me do this one? Come on, come on, come on. How about one for the good guy?
Sorry.
Oh yeah, CC, we're gonna be here for that. I will slow it down. Is that coming up? Let's see how much time is left here. We still have like 40 minutes to go.
And this is. And this document is an inventory filed in the estate of Rajab Abdul, for which I filed an objection.
Inventory. There must be an inventory filed in every probate case. Look at his hopeful eyes, though. He's so hopeful. That is Seinfeld. George is getting upset.
This right now has been admitted.
Okay. Is it possible to put it?
M1 is
Can we
admitted.
put it on the element?
The court's permission after he explains it, I went.
Sure, no problem.
So again, this is so basically when somebody's doing a probate case, by the end of the case, they've got to report everything that was found on the date of death of the person. If they have a house, they put that, they put the house on the appraisal, on the inventory, and they attach an appraisal for the house. Vehicles, they'll list vehicles, bank accounts. If there's personal property and they've appraised the property, that'll be listed on the inventory. So I have here the inventory that was filed by Cynthia Sauerland, who was the probate administrator for this case, who ended up taking over for Thomas Moore. So he had been the administrator for them for some time, and then she stepped in and continued their practices for them. As it turns out, she was also a real estate agent for them, whereas I don't think Thomas Moore was both an agent and the administrator. But there's the appraisal attached to this was something that was of concern to the heirs, and that I found concerning as well. Mr. Draskovich, do you mind? And unfortunately, on the appraisal, they didn't mark the pages, but I guess, you can see, I don't know why the appraiser didn't actually do page numbers on his appraisal, but.
He's going to give one example of an appraisal that's incorrect, and that's the motive here.
It would be certainly this page. I'd like to show that, and then the following page. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. And so when you do an inventory, it's supposed to be the state of, yes, sir.
His lawyer's like, shut up for a second, would you? I love how he's looking at the jury like he's instructing them in a law school class.
Did you see that?
This is supposed to be the state of the home on the date of the person's death. So when you see here, the appraisal that they've got for their inventory shows a kitchen that has no cabinets, I hope you can see that. If not, certainly when you read the exhibit later, you'll see there are no cabinets, no sink, no counter. It's the bare walls in the kitchen. And the floor is missing. So you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, same thing. The picture's not great, but you'll see the floor is missing there too. So may we go to the next page? And in the hallway, missing flooring. In the bedroom, missing flooring. And so it costs money to do this process, right? To rip these things out. So it's interesting that, well, I guess, I'm not providing that document for you. So the fact that they didn't show that they paid for these services to me seems strange. But this is apparently what they're claiming is how they found the home. And thank you, sir, very much. Thank you.
Is that maybe the person died while they were undergoing renovations? I mean, they claim maybe the person was renovating before they died. If they didn't die with any heirs or any family and you've been appointed, there's nobody to indicate that, right?
And you'll find that, again, like I said before, James Clark was in a similar condition. So, and later, after this property, I'm sorry, I'm fidgeting. Later, when this property was resold, it was sold by and I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, but if you look at that appraisal, you'll see that the appraiser said that he believed that it would take about $20,000 in repair costs to bring the home up to fair market value. It was about 3 months later that the buyer resold the home for $70,000. So as far as I'm concerned, the extra $50,000 should have gone to the family, not these other guys. And so right there, I thought, when somebody is ripping property out of a house to sell it to another individual with whom they've had these purchases or these transactions over and over again, that should be looked into seriously, because to me, I believe that's theft. Right? I mean, it makes no sense otherwise. So,
Team Brittany for the win. I'm just Rob. You know, backseat Barbies. I'm great at doing, and I'm enough. And I'm great at doing stuff. So hey, check me out. Yeah, I'm just Rob. Backseat Barbies. Need a soundtrack for the rest of
So
them.
I wrote Jappy an email after the hearing that we had, and I really want you guys to see. I want you folks to see the hearing, because I think it certainly put Comps Realty on notice, and the judge was very concerned, and so you'll see that tomorrow, I hope. Jappy, actually, I ended up, it was that same day, I believe, writing Detective Jappy an email saying that we went to court and there were these issues with this house as well, just like with James Clark. I don't know that I said that as like James Clark, but I certainly noticed those issues. May I share V2?
Oh, Melissa, thanks for pointing out. This is not the first time he's cried victim or sabotaged. Melissa L. says he supposedly made allegations of sabotage while he was in law school. Allegedly, he was making unwanted advances to another student.
If this is an email from me to Detective Jappy, I can't recall the date, but it was in regard to the estate of Rajab Abdul.
And they're going to chat about that for a minute.
Detail. And so this is actually to Derek Jappy and one of the other folks that was on his detail. This is hello, gentlemen. I'm not sure if you all had a chance to catch the hearing. I will get the video for you. Also, I'm not sure if you had a chance to read the response. It had an appraisal with the kitchen torn out. Today, Deborah Erbach testified the photos of the house in the appraisal were not representative of how she had left the house. She had cleaned the house before she had returned home. She said, and again, I'm sorry that this is hearsay, but also the kitchen was intact when she left the home. It seems that the kitchen in this case was also potentially ripped out to reduce the value of the real property before the appraisal. So Detective Jappy was on notice of this concern as well.
Okay, so maybe there was some evidence of that.
And so despite all that, Detective Jappy, I'll tell you that at a certain point, I was, during the course of this case, you probably were aware that you may be aware that I was representing myself, and I was fighting for certain evidence.
Oh, we know. We enjoyed every moment of it, sir.
And I requested that the case file for the case that Detective Jappy had built against me. When they gave me that case file, they also gave me the case file against Compass Realty as well. And so I was able to observe what was done in the investigation. So despite the fact that Detective Jappy had said that there would be these stakeouts, there were no stakeouts. There were no vehicle title searches to see what was going on with these vehicles. Despite the fact that I raised concerns about what we found in the appraisals, at least the one appraisal, Detective Jappy didn't seek appraisals from any of the other cases. Right, so it seemed odd to me that
Yeah, this is odd. This stuff might be objectionable. I would object to this. They're going to let him keep digging a hole and they'll cross-examine him on it today. Well, who knows? He may continue his own narrative today. They may not cross him until tomorrow or Monday. because, like we said, this is a residency for him. He's getting out of jail to be in court, so why not drag it out, right?
He would get up here and say that this was all about mail, right? He said, well, this is just
Objection in the state's
it,
It's the same.
yeah, I guess, I can't recall what to my knowledge, the issue that was raised, according to Detective Jeffy, was that this was about certified mailing. I can't recall what the other issue was. So,
Yeah,
I
his
guess you
opinion
can go
is
back to
improper. He's going to start testifying about his opinions now, and this is where the judge, I think, is going to start to reel him in. So listen to this.
to my knowledge, the issue that was raised, according to Detective Jeffy, was that this was about certified mailing. I can't recall what the other issue was. So, but I guess you can go back to your notes.
The objection
and
is
see what-
sustained. The judge keeps talking, and he starts talking over the judge because he doesn't care. He's going to steamroll through this.
what Detective Jaffe said to you what this was about. Because that's, in my opinion, that's clearly not what this was about.
Objection.
This is my opinion. Okay. So personally, I believe it's likely that, based on what I'm going to discuss later about what Detective Jaffe did, I believe there's some type of compensation to him for all this. So,
You think Jappy's being paid to testify, dude, in your case? Now he's accusing a law enforcement officer, a detective, of financial gain? Hold on a second. They have been giving him a lot of latitude, both the prosecution and the judge, and this is going to end here.
Later about what Detective Jaffe did, I believe there's some type of compensation to him for all this. So, I'm a
I would
witness.
just ask you to move on.
Sure, absolutely. And again, like I said before, I can have my opinions, right? And it's up to you to decide. I'm not the lawyer up here.
Uh-huh.
Yep. You're not the lawyer up here. You are not the lawyer up here. You're not representing yourself. You're allowed to have your opinions, but that's not proper testimony. Your opinions are not proper testimony. You're allowed to testify about the facts and the evidence, not your opinions, sir. This is not your closing argument. You have a lawyer for that now. Unfortunately for us, because we would have loved to see you represent yourself.
Personal knowledge. Ask you to limit your testimony to your personal knowledge and the facts, because your opinions are not really relevant. And so I would ask you.
All right, here she goes. We get to hear her. JPC, thanks for the 10, says, I love this judge. She sounds like the character Elwood from Legally Blonde.
Testimony to your personal knowledge and the facts, because your opinions are not really relevant. And so I would ask you your personal knowledge and things that you observed, and any inferences and arguments that can be made, your attorneys will be able to make those at the end.
And if Your Honor, for clarification's sake, again, when Zach Schilling was giving his opinion about circumstances.
But if you want to have a hearing at the end of the day, that's fine too. But again, I would just ask that you limit it to the facts and your personal knowledge and any of your observations.
So if I have
But Your Honor, Zach was allowed to testify about his opinion of my cheap shoes and he even said they were from Ross or Marshalls. Why did you let him say that? Why did you let him diss my shoes, Your Honor? Ross and Marshalls have plastic Nikes, so what? You let him testify about his opinions there. Speaking of Elwood's, JPC, Bend and Snap. Jennifer Coolidge was amazing in that film. She's finally with White Lotus getting the attention that, in my opinion, she deserves on all of the awards, because Jennifer Coolidge is amazing. Going back to American Pie and Legally Blonde. Stifler's mom. She was Stifler's mom, too. Love her so much. Blessed Mom from Texas, gifted 5 memberships. You're always such a sweet, kind, and generous benefactor to this channel. And lucky people who receive them. And also Kat Randall gifted a membership. You guys are so kind and generous. And it makes up for all the bad actors.
their opinion on some of the testimony, can I share that?
Your opinions are not relevant at this time. So again, I would ask you to limit your testimony to facts and observations that you made.
And then according to the judge's counsel, those are matters that can be argued closely.
Sigh emoji.
So the attorney for Compass Realty began to stonewall me after the hearing, because what happened during the hearing is that I was granted this authority to engage in investigations against them. The judge, you'll see what the judge decided about the situation. Yeah, I think that they had a lot to worry about. And that was June 29th that hearing occurred. So, but after that hearing, there still has to be a paper order that is entered, that is filed in order to grant the power that was actually given during the hearing. Right? So you gotta have that written order in hand in order to act. I had to basically, as part of the process, you have to send the order to the other attorney, and you all have to try to agree to the terms of the order, and both sides sign it if they agree upon it. The attorney for Compass Realty just would not, and things got delayed. And then finally, the order got filed. It was on, I believe, August 29th. My apologies, but I do have the order that I drafted in the estate of Reg Abdul that I'd like to share as N1.
And it's Nancy?
N as in Nancy. That's right.
Thank you, Travis Williamson, who is a local attorney, or was anyway, in the state of Nevada. Clark County prisoners are brought over in leg cuffs, limit length of stride, and handcuffs to belt chain. They are removed before entering the courtroom. I don't know if he changes at jail or court. You mean his outfit?
Thank you. Oh, my apologies. It was actually filed on August 31st, 2022. And as you all know, Mr. Gurman was murdered on September 2nd, 2022. But I guess well, I also want to mention at the same time that I was fighting Compass Realty in probate court, and also beyond trying to work with Detective Jappy on that criminal investigation, I'd also filed a complaint with the Nevada Real Estate Division as well. And I'd raised the issues that, I've discussed.
Did you want to talk to the manager too? He's filing complaints.
So I raised issues about some of the other codes related to real estate that were being broken, because Compass Realty was selling properties to Adam Fenn, one of their own agents, using it appears, using the same scheme. And when Mr. Gurman was murdered,
I'm taking the dog, dumbass. Harmony, I'm taking the dog, dumbass. I want a hot dog real bad. You make me want a hot dog real bad. All right?
The new public administrator did not finish acting on any of the investigation in Reg Abdul. There's been no activity. So
Rita's on the take.
I was going to do is not being done at this point. And the complaint I made with the Nevada Real Estate Division, I got documentation that it closed in November of 2022. And so, I believe that this was, it'd be quite a coincidence if,
I'd give you
the fact that Mr. Gurman was killed and was put on me.
Wait, second time. He just said Gehrman. He said Gehrman for the second time during this entire, I'm going to call it a monologue, his monologue that he's not even off book for.
And so, I believe that this was, it'd be quite a coincidence if, the fact that Mr. Gurman was killed and was put on me, that they just had a serendipitous benefit from that all these things that were coming to a head for them, just it's done.
Really?
No repercussions, no nothing. So
no repercussions for their behavior. So everyone's benefiting from you being in jail. It's serendipitous. Wow. You make me want a hot dog real bad. Susan Costello, thank you for the $50 super sticker. You're so amazing. You're so amazing. I love you. Thank you.
That's, I'll leave it to you, to think about that. And then in early August, and you heard Detective Jeppy saying in early August that Rita Reed and Alicia Goodwin approached him, and that, after they approached him, that Kimberly McMahon approached him. And you heard that Kimberly McMahon was somebody who worked as a real estate agent for me at the public administrator's office. And she, again, was a lieutenant Metro, and that she had raised these allegations of a bribery scheme. And I can't recall the date. I think it was August 7th or so, but and I'm going to get that information for you here soon. But later,
You've had 2 years. You've had 2 years soon. He's like Lally thing. I'll be brief. I'll get it to you soon. At some point during my residency, I will get it to you. Tickets are free.
Detective Jeppy had an interview with Kimberly McMahon at, I guess, the Department of Homeland Security, I believe. And the statement from that is,
he's opening the door to all kinds of stuff here. He's just kicking the door in. This trial could go on for another week or two with all of the doors he's opening with regard to Rita and other women in the office, because that evidence has been kept out. All of those allegations they filed against him in federal court for toxic workplace discrimination. It could be opening the door here.
one, I don't know if we want to do two I got one document coming right after the other.
Now it's we.
I'd like to try to also, because I would like to show you that, the facts that are embedded within Detective Jeppy's, or I should say the probable cause statements embedded within his statement that don't match up to the statement from her interview. And that's what I would like to share with you. So we'll see if I can get that done. I believe it's 01 and
So what had happened?
the search one, I believe, I'm working with a grease pen. The writing's kind of thick. I don't know if it's.
I'm working with a grease pen and the writing's kind of thick. Well, yeah, that's because you did try and take your own life the day the SWAT team was there, and they can't give you a pencil or a pen. So now you're looking for sympathy from the jury because you have to work with a grease pencil? Strange credulity.
S1? I'm so sorry. Thank you.
The only thing he's sorry about.
No, I'm sorry. It was the search warrant that Detective Jeppy had done. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, because unfortunately
Okay, there's a little more. The sidebar, I believe here. Getting towards the end.
Okay, so this time.
Oh, I love how she's got control of the speaker over there. She can turn it on and off. She's got the control. I love Michelle Leavitt.
Okay, so this time 01 is not admitted, and we can't find the other document, but I think at the end of the day, after the jury is excused, we can go further into that.
So Kimberly McMahon had provided an interview, and in it, I guess I can speak to it, and hopefully I can speak to my personal knowledge at least on it. I understand that she had alleged that.
Objection, hearsay.
You can't go into any hearsay or what somebody else said.
Oh, okay, well, supposedly I had requested a commission from Kimberly, and
Can't do that either.
Hearsay?
I believe he's referring to the testimony that had been elicited from Detective Jeppy in his cross-examination.
Okay, so you could, if that's what you're talking about, you can just offer whatever relevant testimony you have.
So, it was claimed by, that I asked her for commissions and, or for a referral fee, which would have allegedly been in March of 2019. But she ended up making a claim that
Objection hearsay.
so
Sustained,
She-
I think she said.
so she was interviewed. I guess you can do the math. She was interviewed by Detective Jappy 3.5 years later on that supposed issue.
Supposed.
So, I think that, and also at the time, I only had 4 months left on my office, right? So why would, personally, I'm not sure why someone would wait 3.5 years to make a claim.
Improper opinion.
All improper.
Okay.
This is all improper.
Sure. Okay.
Giving him latitude, and he's taking advantage of it because there's never been any ramifications for his behavior.
That's okay. I'll go on. So, so Detective Jappy obtained this search warrant into me, being able to now from that point forward track me, starting August 17th.
Victim. Victim.
And it seems to, at least until September 7th, right? I had requested all the surveillance logs when I was representing myself. And originally I'd received only 3
Objection.
from that whole time.
Objection.
Sure.
Sure, I'll allow it. Sure, I'll let you object, but I'm going to keep talking anyway because I'm going to pretend I don't know what objection means, but I'm a lawyer. I went to night school. After my career in IT, and then the dot-com bubble burst, and then I did some HVAC, and now I'm a lawyer, damn it.
Not sure why that would be relevant, so I'm going to sustain the relevance objection at this point.
Sure. Oh, and I guess this goes to a comment that Detective Jappy had made, Your Honor.
Okay, you're not allowed to argue this in front of the jury. You have an attorney, sir. I don't know why his attorney is not arguing the objections. And again, I'm going to go back to my original comment that I think it's because he does not want to be involved in any way, shape, or form in suborning perjury or potential perjury from this witness. He's just like, I'm out of here. I mean, I got to be here because I can't abandon him in the middle of this trial, but I'm kind of out of here. Right? Because there's an objection. Draskovich is not addressing it. Tejas, we now found his name is Tejas, is pronouncing it, is addressing it.
Detective Jappy had said that they performed.
The objection was sustained.
Oh, okay, but
So if you
but
want to take it up at the end of the day, I'm happy to.
I'm sorry. I was just going to explain. Okay, so can I speak about what he had said?
No, that's hearsay.
I mean, as far as okay, well.
Well, oh look, they're
Yeah,
not giving me a
thought that
fair
if it
trial.
was testified in court that I could repeat his testimony in court. Is that still hearsay?
Unless you have a transcript.
Generally, I don't like witnesses to say, this is what another witness said.
Sure,
I
but
mean, the jury will be the ones to determine what the testimony was, but if you have something to add based on his testimony.
exactly
all about that.
right. So in order to provide context for what I provide next, I just have to remind them of what his testimony was. That's all.
No,
Is that
Well,
okay?
that's exactly what I don't allow witnesses to do, is tell the jury what another witness testified to. You could say generally, but it's not appropriate to inform the jury what another witness testified to, unless you have a transcript of that testimony.
So what I'll do then is I will ask if we could share notes. So
no, we can't
it
share
came
notes.
to my attention that from reviewing the file
No.
into
No.
the investigation into Compass Realty, that
No.
Cynthia Sauerland was surveilled 2 days in a row. And so hopefully you can remember why that is important. And so I would like to introduce, if I may, M2.
I'm going to go with no. No. judge is like, sir, counselor, I tried to tell you when you wanted to represent yourself, and I gave you the soliloquy that you do not understand the rules of evidence, perhaps, and you are making it very, very clear now that I was right. You do not understand the rules of evidence. You are not allowed to just get up here and testify about your opinions. That's not how this whole court thing works. This whole evidence thing, this whole foundation thing, not how it works. He's a lawyer, but I don't think he's a litigator. I don't think he spent a lot of time in court. Being a trial lawyer is a very different skill set from being a lawyer who works on paperwork in the office. Both very, very different skill sets. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying you don't need to know the rules of evidence when you're drafting pleadings, or you have paralegals drafting pleadings and you're signing everything at the end of the day. You're not litigating in court. You're not in front of a judge. You don't have to make argument. You don't have to get evidence in.
Mr. Draskovich wants to call is going to be. At this time, the objection is going to be sustained. However, if Mr. Draskovich wants to call Detective Jappy back and go into this, that is fine as well.
Thank you.
And so, because I've got other items I want to review in advance of, certain exhibits to make sure that I can get them in for what occurred on 9/2. I'm going to go ahead and go forward, and then I'll save that discussion for later. So, the Sunday after Mr. Gurman was murdered, I learned, and I was shocked. I think that, it was unreal. Then the following day, I know there was testimony about,
I learned about what happened to Mr. Gurman, and I was shocked. It was unreal. I think, is that the third time he's mentioned Jeff Gurman during this entire almost hour and a half?
I'd like to see if, I know there's been an exhibit that's been admitted, and it's regarding a discussion between me and Roberta Lee. I don't know if we can
Open the door to that.
publish that. That would have been a discussion, a text message discussion we had regarding the killer's SUV. And it's a state exhibit. Correct.
Totally different, Tricity, totally different. A lot of lawyers never see the inside of a courtroom. Drafting papers, talking on the phone, meeting with clients. They do things that don't take place in a courtroom. He's talking about there's no sound in the courtroom.
When we have something else, and then when we have find the exhibit.
The state's exhibit, okay. I'll keep looking. All right, thank you.
So when we were having that conversation, you might have, she had shared a picture of this SUV, and in the picture, in the comment above it, it said something along the lines of the front rims don't match the back rims. And I looked at the picture and thought, oh, well, you know what, that's okay. That's not, that's clearly not my vehicle. And so that's what I was, that's what I conveyed in the text messages that have been admitted. So
It's not my vehicle because the front rims didn't match the back rims. Okay, and that was in the text message chain with Roberta that Roberta testified about.
I don't know if it's correct, which I would think you'd normally call it hearsay, but they've been admitted, so.
I would think you'd normally call it hearsay, but you admitted them, so I should get to talk about them. Got a fair point, but it's a little snarky.
Okay. For the record, this is state's exhibit 343 that's been.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir, I'm sorry, did I? So here, this general Bob Custer, I'm not sure who the gentleman is, but he says that the Las Vegas murder suspect vehicles have a different spoke pattern. Most vehicles have wheels with matching patterns. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, okay, well, obviously it's not my car because my rims all match. And so that was the substance of that conversation. But later I thought, well, holy crap, excuse me, sorry. Like, my gosh, it still can't be a coincidence that the killer is driving a vehicle that's like mine. So I started to get really scared. Right? It couldn't seem to be any kind of coincidence that this person was driving a vehicle that was just like mine. Thank you, sir. And so I went outside, just double check, make sure I'm not losing my mind. I looked like, okay, well, my rims match, okay. And so I went ahead and started washing the cars, trying to just take my mind off things, And again, I washed the 3 cars, but there's been a debate about whether or not.
That's why he washed the cars that day, because he went out to make sure that the rims matched, because he thought, uh-oh, ruh-roh. Maybe I did do it. Maybe people are going to think I did it.
Law enforcement knew 1 or 3, and that is what it is. Then at night, after dinner, I started making, cooking for my daughter's lunches. My one particular daughter, she won't eat the school lunch, or she didn't at the time. So I'd make her chicken fried rice off of a Google recipe. And I was distracted, I inadvertently cut my finger.
Ah, that's how he cut his finger. He cut his finger.
I cut it across the.
He cut his finger being a good dad, making his daughter lunch for school, because did you notice how he dissed his daughter first and said she won't eat school lunches, so I have to make her lunch? But I'm such a great dad. I was making her lunch for school, fried rice, and that's how I cut my finger. From a Google recipe. Way too much detail here, right? Does it sound rehearsed to you? Hold on. Later that night, same day he washes the 3 cars, that's when he cuts his finger. Making the school lunch. But after the murder and before he's arrested.
After dinner, I started making, cooking for my daughter's lunches. My one particular daughter, she won't eat the school lunch, or she didn't at the time. So I'd make her chicken fried rice off of a Google recipe. And I was distracted, I inadvertently cut my finger. And I cut it across the tip of the finger, right? And if you look at the picture, it was, I don't know if we need to bring the picture up or not, but is that something we should do? Or so basically, You'll see that.
You're asking your lawyer for advice now?
It may be difficult to see, but the way that I cut it was as I was chopping right across the tip. And so, I don't know what the
I don't mean to interrupt
No,
you,
sure.
because we do have a photo that was a state.
okay.
Yep.
Timing efficiency.
Sure, please.
A finger in a cooking accident. Chicken fried rice has entered the chat. Who cuts their finger making rice?
Yeah.
Was he chopping up vegetables to put into the fried rice? But that's a great point. Was he cutting up chicken to put in the fried rice? What was he cutting? Which finger was it? Is he a righty? If he's holding the knife with his right hand, he would have cut his left hand, right? Was it his left hand? You can add vegetables. My kids don't like vegetables in their fried rice, so I don't know.
Related situation.
Okay, hold on.
So, well, tell you about this other related situation. So, while I was being self-represented, I attempted to seek these surveillance videos that included It's the video of me washing my car, or videos of me washing my cars. The judge granted the production of that.
Objection is right.
However, I never received the videos. And
They didn't give me,
oh, okay. So
they didn't give me discovery, Your Honor. They're not being fair. Not allowed to talk about that kind of stuff. Oh, that's funny. Recovery Addict said something about that. That's how I cut my chicken in my shoe. I put my shoe on top of my hat, and then the chicken, and then the rice, and I cut it all together with scissors. Oh, I wonder if the knife that he was using in the cooking of the fried rice was the knife that was used in the killing. I solved the case. Nobody knows where the knife is, though.
The motion to strike is granted.
Like,
I believe the videos show that I didn't have the finger injury.
the video of you washing the car would show that you didn't have the finger injury when you're washing the car.
I believe the videos show that I didn't have the finger injury.
You got an opinion?
If you think about it, if somebody has a serious finger injury, would they be washing?
Objection argument.
I mean, I would not be washing.
Up.
About your own
Sure. Oh,
experience.
sure, Your Honor. I believe I would not be washing my 3 vehicles if I had a serious finger injury. And as you've probably already gathered, you're going to hear
Way too much latitude here. Way too much latitude here. I believe that I would not be washing my cars if I had a serious finger injury.
serious finger injury. And as you've probably already gathered, you're going to hear about the fact that I was at the gym at around noon. And I believe I would not be working out with a serious finger injury. So you have that?
Yes, I'm, of course, permission, I'm going to publish. It's exhibit, it's been admitted 185.
So, I mean, it may be tough to see that again. Like I said, it was a lateral cut, or, it went across the tip.
You see it close up.
Okay, please.
Went across the tip. Now he's treating Draskovich like he's his lackey. Like he's his lackey. Like he's his co-counsel.
So you can see I still have the tip of my finger, if you can see it there. I had put super glue on it, and they pulled the super glue plug out of my finger, and so that's, and the reason that's
He super glued his finger back together. He got crazy glue. He crazy glued his finger back together instead of going and getting stitches. And when they took the picture, they pulled the super glue plug off. Did we really just hear that? Who super glues their finger? If it was that bad of a cut, why wouldn't you go get medical attention? I have questions. He's creating more questions than he's answering.
all gun glue plug. I had put super glue on it, and they pulled the super glue plug out of my finger, and so that's, and the reason it's all gunky like that is because, again, the super glue mixed with blood. So, thank you, sir.
The face that he just made when he said the super glue mixed with blood is a look of shock and horror that is worse than the look that he had when he was looking at the photos of Jeff Garman's dead body. Think about that for a second, and I'm going to rewind it so you can watch it again. His finger, super glue. That's how you can wash a car and work out, because you super glued your finger back together to give yourself an alibi. Maybe. Innocent until proven guilty and all. Watch his facial expression here.
Super glue mixed with blood.
See that?
So, thank you, sir. But so when I cut my finger that night, I had used scissors to cut, the super glue bottle had actually, the tip had dried. Sometimes when I have an open super glue bottle, the tip dries and I have to cut the tip. Right? So I had to grab scissors in order to do that. And I inadvertently left blood on the scissors that I forgot to clean off.
Oh, he didn't like that. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I inadvertently left blood on the scissors that I forgot to wipe off. Sounds like he's making an excuse for making a mistake in the crime. Listen, he's not just saying it was bloody. I was like, too much detail. He's got a whole story about this super glue. It happens all the time. Not the first time I had to do this. The tip dries and the super glue. How to cut it off. He's apologizing. This is so weird.
The tip dries and I have to cut the tip. Right? So I had to grab scissors in order to do that. And I inadvertently left blood on the scissors that
Blood
I
on the
forgot to
scissors.
clean
Look at the
off.
eyes. Blood on the scissors. Blood on the scissors.
Inadvertently left blood on the scissors that I forgot to clean off.
That I forgot to clean off.
Once I cut the tip off the super glue bottle, I super glued the tip of my finger together. I believe my healing process is such that I would not have had such a nasty injury for 5 days. Again, I can't speak to anyone else's healing process, but
You're a doctor now?
that is what it is.
You're a doctor now? You can't speak to anyone else's healing process, but you just said they pulled off the super glue plug. This is insane. Yeah, he sounds like a toddler trying to explain how the vase broke.
We're going to discuss the situation of the surveillance log later. Is that right? Okay.
That is correct, based on objection.
Okay. So you heard that a search warrant was obtained, and I got pulled over early in the morning on September 7th, 2022. The officers came at me with their guns drawn, yelling at me, and I was basically coming from dropping off my stepson at school, getting ready to go home to pick up one of my other daughters and then take her to school. And so they just, out of nowhere, 3 police cars just run up on me from the back, and I just scared. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, yeah, they basically yell at me to just stand. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they're yelling at me. They patted me down. They handcuffed me. They threw me in the back of a patrol car. I asked them what I did. I asked them, can I call somebody? Can I do anything? I mean, I did this for over an hour and a half. Just tell me what's going on. Tell me what's, I mean, obviously at this point, I had my suspicions because of like the whole, all that thing. But they wouldn't tell me what was going on. They just left me there. And the whole time my family didn't know where I was. As far as I know, my daughter was expecting for me to come home and take her to school. I was distraught already by that point.
They were mean to me. They were mean to me.
I believe you've heard how distraught I was about my family and what they were going through at that moment that I could imagine. It was my understanding that if I went to the Summerlin Area Command for them to just take this DNA and to take photographs of me, that I would be allowed to just come right back to my vehicle and go on my way.
Oh. Is that what you thought?
That was what I was led to believe. And then
they lied to me. They lied to me, Drew. They lied.
Can I get? And so, and I was led to believe that. And later, I found out that 5 minutes after that, my vehicle was towed away.
Sandy, thank you for gifting 5 memberships.
YouTube
I get YouTube. He said I get YouTube. Thank you, Sandy. And whoever was randomly gifted the 5 memberships, welcome.
May I get YouTube? Yes, that should be a CAD log from a traffic stop.
Oh, you too. I think maybe that's the exhibit number and letter. Chloe Albert's Revenge is like, I love that when I come back for the first time in a few days, you're talking about Stifler's mom. There's no place like home. Thank you, Chloe Albert's Revenge, for the 5. Martha Chapman says, echoes.
You two is admitted.
Echoes of Dennis Rader, compliance officer. Thanks for the 5.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Auntie Ree, you have COVID.
And throughout this, you can see how they're mentioning that I'm
Why are you
going to
thinking out
Palo Verde
loud?
to drop my.
You're not supposed to be thinking out loud, sir. Auntie Ree, thank you for the 5. Says, thanks for making my COVID isolation bearable. Good luck with the move-in. Twins are special, and I get what you're feeling going through as a mom. Don't make me cry. Thank you.
My stepson off at the bus stop for LBA.
Thank you, Paloma Unstuck. I think you're in good company here with them.
On page 9 of this CAD log, it's about the 6. The 6th line down says on September 7th, 2022 at 8:09 a.m. request tow. So I was led to believe that I'd be able to come right back home, but when the tow was called in, or when you see a tow on that report a few minutes later, I don't know that was really what was intended.
Dude, do you really want the jury to believe that you didn't know why you were being pulled over? You knew Jeff Gamerman was killed. You knew you were having a Twitter war against him. You knew about those articles that he wrote about you did not look flattering. You knew that these women were accusing you of all kinds of toxic things in the workplace, and you had no idea why you were getting pulled over, and you really thought you were going to be able to go home? Okay, go with that.
So then I was held there at the Seminary Command.
Sigh emoji.
They did the swab, they did the photos, and then they took my jeans.
My jeans, my favorite jeans.
How we're doing for time, but show my jeans and also there's a photo as well.
Seamus James says, didn't he have a trial and repped himself already? There were a couple of hearings where he was repping himself. You are correct. Thanks for the super chat. Not Sir Ray Davies. Thanks for the 20. Will a case like this hurt Draskovich's reputation as a defense attorney? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, look, he's doing the best he can with what he has. I don't think so. But that's my opinion. But thank you so much for the 20. All right, he's arguing still.
Let me make sure they have it there.
Do you want Mr. Draskovich to hold up the jeans?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Draskovich, your fingers left if you want.
And can we also publish that? Is that photo okay?
Yes.
Oh, there should be. I'm sorry, go on. No, sir. It's one that shows the front of the pants. Actually, it may take a few more minutes, Your Honor. So I don't know if you understand it.
All right, so it's probably a good time to conclude. All right, so at this time, we are going to end for the day. During this recess, you're admonished not to discuss.
Now he's telling the judge how to run her courtroom. Maybe we should just end it.
or communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, in any way regarding the case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media, read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts or commentary about the case, do research, consult dictionaries, internet, or reference materials, do any investigation, test a theory, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own, or form or express any opinion regarding the case until it's finally submitted to you. We'll be in recess till tomorrow morning at 10:30.
That, my friends, that is where it ended. That is where it ended. Thank you, Laren. Hope the twins got off to school. Tears are okay. Different twins, different coasts, different schools. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Thank you, Nancy, for saying my priorities are correct. We love and support you. I love you guys too. Love you guys too. Thank you. Teresa says, tell that fella to pack sand. We love you, Melanie. I actually ignored streams yesterday to wait for you. Tell your twins best wishes in college. Thank you. Thank you so much. Pilgrim Shadow, we respect you, Melanie, more than words can tell. Wake up to find out that you are the eyes of the world. I know. I know. Thanks, Jennifer, for your super chat and support. I love you. I'm so sorry, Melanie. All my best. Thank you. Thank you, Charlotte. Says you're amazing. Wasn't the same yesterday. Thank you. Can't dazzle with brilliance, baffle with you know what, says Maga Snacker. Tanny, this dude's a bad actor. Nothing ever reaches those cold eyes, the cold dead eyes. I think he legit might be DSM-5 eligible. Absolutely crazed. Thank you so much, Mozzie. We love having you here as well. Love, love, love. And Elf, thank you. Thanks for saying I rock and ignore the trolls. And Busted Mom from Texas, thank you. I love you, girl. Says, I missed y'all so much. Happy Thursday, cupcakes. Like and sub up. It's free. Let's go. 70K. This guy is a clown. Thank you for your 10. And also, I hope your daughter Reagan had an amazing birthday. Double digits. That is you, right? Please tell me I'm not confusing you with another sub. Yeah, Chloe Albert's revenge. This I'm being punked, right? This guy isn't real, is he? True Paul's dad, right? Because that would explain a lot. Yeah, that would explain a lot. Thank you, Maureen Francis, also for the for the Cash App, and says good luck to my kids. It's emotional. It's very emotional. So here's what's going to happen. It is let me do the math. Right now it's 8:30 a.m. in Vegas, and they are coming back at 10:30. I am going to go move into a dorm because they give you times now when you have to move into a dorm, put your stuff together, and all of that stuff. So it's timed. I will come back later. I think we'll probably start late so that we can fast forward through lunch. He's coming back on the stand today, you guys. So this is going to be good. You don't want to miss it. Hit the bell so you know when I go live, because I might be in the middle of assembly of some dorm type items and I might not be able to post it right away. So I may just go. Go. You never know what's going to happen over here. It is exciting. It is very exciting. And it's going to be even more exciting. And as I said, Robert Telles is doing a Las Vegas residency right now on the witness stand in Clark County Court, in the courthouse, in the courtroom of Honorable Michelle Leavitt. Who knows how long he'll be there? Could be a week, could be 2. We don't know, but he's there for it. He's very exciting. So we will be starting late, but we will start from the beginning. You won't miss a thing except for the breaks because we'll fast forward them. So enjoy the rest of your day, my friends, until I see you later. I will not cut myself with an Allen key or a pocket knife or a screwdriver. Oh, interesting, Miss Vicky May. Did you catch he said in the AM he was making his daughter's lunch, then later he said in the evening he was making the lunch? Melanie does IKEA. All right, you guys, I love you. Be cool, be kind, be classy. Thank you, moderators, for keeping it classy. I will see you all later. Peace. Hit the like button on your way out, please. It's really, really good for the algorithm. Appreciate you.